Hello, I have a fascinating request video to do today from someone whose handle is at Pieza de Cuezo. Thank you very much for your fascinating video all about goth fashion. Where did this all start? So the word originally goth comes from Latin gothi or Greek gothoi, referring to the ancient East Germanic tribes of Ostrogoths or Visigoths. These were ancient tribes who played a major role in sacking ancient Rome in 410 AD. They established lands far across Europe, and this was the start of the fall of the Roman Empire. Which is why later in the Renaissance period, approximately 14 to 1600s, the word became synonymous with the barbarians, barbaric, dark ages and mysterious. Now the original Gothic period was architectural and art movement from approximately the 12th century through to the 16th century, and this all originated in northern France around 1140. Evolving from Romanesque style and changes in sculpture, textiles, paintings, frescoes, stained glass and Illuminati manuscripts. Now the first Gothic revival was during the first half of the 1800s, mostly in England. In Victorian England, death, as high mortality rates were ever present, was embraced, with mediums and card readers becoming ever popular. It was Queen Victoria, with her expression of grief, that introduced black as mourning attire on the death of her beloved Prince Albert to typhoid, which she wore for the rest of her life. Victorian Romanticism was a new fashion for writers and novelists, and dark Gothic novels became popular in the later 1800s. Emily Bronte with Wuthering Heights, 1847. Charlotte Bronte with Jane Eyre, 1847. Robert Louis Stevenson with Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, 1886. Oscar Wilde with The Picture of Dorian Gray, 1891. Bram Stoker's Dracula, 1897. And Henry James with The Turn of the Screw, 1898. Now, some 20th century Gothic inspiration to the fashions were 1. Theda Bara, a silent movie star, America's first goth in the 1920s, influencing the dark, smoky-eyed look. Spooky clothing that she claimed she handmade herself. And as she told of her interest in the occult, she had claimed that she had been born in Egypt in the shadow of the Sphinx. Wasn't true. Vampira in the 1950s, created by Myra Nermi. She had attempted a Hollywood fancy dress party in 1954, dressed as a vampire costume. The party was attended by a producer of WABC TV at the time. He hired her to recreate an original character based on her interest in the dark arts. Gothic was reborn again, and her style influenced many horror films. In more recent historical eras, the Gothic movement took hold in the 1970s on the back of the punk era. In the 1980s, the Batcave was a London nightclub serving as a hub for the Gothic scene. And some of the punk influences of the time were Susie and the Banshees, The Cure, and Bauhaus. So let's take a look at some of the Gothic subcultures over the years. The traditional goth style with black clothing, winkle pickers, dishevelled black hair. In 1977, Karl Lagerfeld started off the haute goth culture. He had done a party in Hollywood, specified there was only black dress required. Death rock fashions born from the early LA punk scene gained influence from the Batcave Club. The Gothic Lolita scene, a combination of goth and Lolita fashions originating 1990s in Japan, Harajuki. Victorian Gothic is a modern interpretation of the Victorian Gothic scene. Gothic aristocrat started in Japan as a street fashion and developed as a neo-Victorian style. And cybergoth or ribbit-head subcultures from America in the late 1990s. If I've missed any out, do let me know in the comments. Thank you so much, Piazza di Queso, for your request video. And if you've enjoyed this video, do join me next time. Bye!